So what did the original Great Sphinx of Giza look like? Like most ancient Egyptian statuary, it probably would have been plastered and painted with very bright colors. This is just one possible reconstruction, and there are lots of different theories that it may have originally had a lion's face, a jackal's face, or maybe even the face of Khufu rather than Khafre. And we're going to disregard those options and just talk about what it may have looked like when it was painted and when it was fully reconstructed. One of the really great insights we have into what the Sphinx looked like at least sometime in the ancient Egyptian past is the dream stela, which I talked about in a previous video, because it does have depictions of two sphinxes, and we can assume that they probably looked semi-similar to what Prince Thutmose was actually seeing when he helped restore the Sphinx in the New Kingdom. Besides that, most of the information I am taking comes from this article, Reconstructing the Sphinx by Mark Lehner. He is an Egyptologist who has worked at the Giza Pyramids Plateau for pretty much his entire career, and you've probably seen him in any sort of documentary when it comes to the pyramids or the Sphinx. In this article, he essentially goes through all of the different portions of the Sphinx and came up with essentially this computer reconstruction of what it may have looked like. It unfortunately doesn't include a lot of the paint, but you can still see some of the paint on the kind of back of the head of the Sphinx, because most of this has not been preserved, the original outside of the Sphinx. We know that there probably was a protective uraeus or cobra on the brow of the Sphinx as he was wearing a Nemez headdress, and unfortunately a lot of portions of that fell off in the 1960s. But did you know that the Sphinx had a beard? It is unclear if the beard may have been added later. We do have pieces of the beard in both the Cairo Museum and in the British Museum. Here are some different reconstructions of the beard and some of the portions that we do have left. And there actually used to be a relief that was most likely carved in kind of the space in between the beard and the chest. And we have some images of that, and it is of a kneeling pharaoh lifting up a broad collar in veneration to the Sphinx. In addition, there was probably a statue that was standing directly between the beard and the legs of the Sphinx. And when you look at the Sphinx, you can actually see sort of this small outcropping in that dead center part of the chest where that statue would have sat. But again, this may have been added in the New Kingdom. As you can see here, this is the Dream Stela. We know this was added in the New Kingdom. So it's unclear if both of those were kind of part of that New Kingdom Sphinx temple. When it comes to paint color, we do know that there is residue of red pigments on areas of the Sphinx face, as well as blue pigments and yellow pigments elsewhere. I think this portion of the Sphinx is probably the best place that you're going to be able to see it with the naked eye. I really enjoyed reading this article because it did kind of go through all of these portions of the Sphinx that I didn't even know about because they are not really noticeable or things that you just don't see, including the beard, which I always love learning about. So you can check that article. It's free online. You just search Reconstructing the Sphinx by Dr. Mark Lehner and you'll be able to find it free to read on your own.